Hello everyone, so today I'm going to be doing my first neocities tutorial on this website right here, which is just a recreation of a card I made a while ago, and as you can see I did change a few things just to make it more accessible and easier to understand, especially for someone who has never coded before, as neocities is a free alternative to Card Pro. It just requires a bit more knowledge. But a little intro, I am going to do my best to explain things, and if for any reason you don't like the way I explain things or could use more resources in the description, please let me know. I would really appreciate the constructive criticism, as I am just starting out. So we're going to get started, and as I get used to switching from card to this, while I do still want to do card tutorials, just bear with me and hopefully I explain things well. But yeah, we're just gonna go ahead and get started. I will be making a few videos. I'm gonna make one video talking about music players and another video outside of this one where I kind of explain just how to make a neocities account and everything. So if you're not familiar with that, I would recommend you watch that. But once you've created your account and you've logged in, this is similar to a page that you are going to see, and you will most likely be editing index.html, but since I already have a few pages of a website, I'm just going to create a new file, and hopefully the audio turns out okay. I know I'm going to try my best to edit, but I know my typing noises might be picked up as well as when I click with my mouse, so I apologize. I hope that that is not too distracting. So I'm just going to create a new HTML file. It can be named anything, it doesn't have to say index.html, but once you edit that file, this is what you will see, and this is how your website will look. And this is basically just the standard default website without any editing done. And so what we are going to do to start off is just basically delete everything in between body and body. This is just all the default stuff that comes with neocities when you make one for the first time, and we just obviously do not want that. So now we have a blank site, and we are going to go ahead and get started. Every resource I am using will be linked in the description. First, I do want to mention there are a few codes that aren't necessary to the site itself, the layout of the website. This will be in the description, and I'm going to go over how to add these at the end, as I know not everyone will want to include them in their site. But we're just going to get started on the actual layout itself. So in the common codes, we have our body code, which a body code, it's right here, is basically just the entire website. So if you want a background, that's where you would put that, or if you want a default font that is used for all your text, that's where you would put that. Just things that you want to mostly stay the same across your website so that you don't have to continually repeat the code over and over again. But here is the code that you can copy and paste for this particular website. I pretty much leave body alone for most of my sites, and I just change fonts and sizes of things as they come along. So yeah, this is what you're going to copy into your file, and I'm just formatting it to look nice, and hopefully it's easy to follow, easy to understand, but you obviously do not, you can have it look as messy as you want. Very quickly though, we do need to add style tags, which what we are adding right now is the CSS. We will be adding the HTML later. The difference between HTML and CSS. Also, quick disclaimer, I am still learning things, so if I say anything that's incorrect, please let me know. I'm going to try to do my best to explain things. Part of learning that's really good for me is teaching. So CSS is CSS, I said that correctly, is basically the style, the colors, shapes, sizes of things, and then HTML is the text itself. So like HTML would be the image, and then the CSS would be the border around the image, things like that. So this is pretty much what we want for the body. We do want to change the background image, and so I'm going to have lots of resources in the description. Particularly this site, Glitter Graphics, is where I find pretty much all of my images. I love this website so much. I would highly recommend it. And I'm really quickly going to go over images. When you implement an image into a neocities we're going to do something called hot linking, which hot linking would be, let's just take this rainbow background for example. We're going to take it, copy the image address, and then we're going to put it here like so, and then we save, and now we have the background of our website. Hot linking is usually discouraged because if Glitter Graphics, this website for example, gets taken down, or they delete this image, not that they would, but for example if they did, then it will no longer show up in your website, and your website would just be a blank screen. So particularly with sites like these, I'm lazy, and so I don't want to have to download and upload the images somewhere else. So I do hot link from sites like this, but from sites like Pinterest, for example, I would recommend downloading them, and then what I do is I just upload them to a card. So these are all images that I used in my other neocities that I found, on sites like Pinterest or on other people's pages that I wasn't so sure would be there for very long, so I downloaded them and I uploaded them to card. And you can do this obviously with the free plan, you do not need pro or anything for this. And then what you do is you just copy the image address, and then you would paste it in where it says background URL like so, and it works the exact same. And that way, unless you delete the card, which you have complete control over, the image itself will not be deleted. And so I'm going to copy, oh my goodness. Okay, sorry, this is my little Google Doc with notes for myself. So yeah, I still need to make these 2 videos. Hopefully I will be doing that after this video, and then I do want to expand my channel a bit more. So we're gonna take a stab at making a YouTube intro and outro. So hopefully that will be part of this video. But yes, so here I have my site background. So I'm just going to paste it there, but like I said, you can use whatever image you want, hot linking or not hot linking. Alrighty, next we are just going to quickly add the scroll bar code. I usually use a hidden scroll bar, but for this particular card, I used the old web scroll bar. I just liked how that looked. If you if you are looking for the hidden scroll bar code, oh my gosh, excuse me, you can find it right here in this pasty bin, and of course I will also leave this pasty bin in the description. So we are just going to copy this code. Don't copy the style at the bottom, since we have already included that in our neocities. In case you were wondering, this is how the old web scroll bar looks. So if you do not want that, you can obviously just add the hidden scroll bar code, or if you just want the default gray scroll bar, you can completely skip this step. So yeah, it's a pretty lengthy code, but you just copy paste it. You don't have to change anything. The formatting bothers me a little bit, but that's pretty much it. And I'm sorry if there's a bit of some awkward pauses. Again, I'm still learning how to explain this and teach HTML, so hopefully I'll be able to edit a lot of that out. But again, bear with me, and please leave constructive criticism. Like I said, I would love to improve, I guess. Alrighty, and then the next code we are going to get is from the CSS pasty bin. So there are going to be the 3 main pasty bins that we're using, which are the common codes. These are things that make your site look nice, but that you don't need to include. The site will still obviously function the same. And then CSS and HTML, which we just talked about very briefly, the differences between them. So we have the animation, which in case you are wondering what that is, that's just when you switch from section to section, the little animation that makes the container move up. Again, not really necessary. I just think it looks nice, and it's very easy. You just copy paste and that's it. I will leave a link in the description to Animista, which is the site I got this code from. If you are looking to do a different animation, you don't like the slide up, you are welcome to choose your own. Alrighty, so next we are going to make this container right here, the main container where everything is in. So yeah, we are going to call that one main. You can call it whatever you like. I would recommend naming things the same thing I name them as, just especially if you're copying and pasting code that I've provided. You'll have less things to change, if that makes sense. So here we have the main container code, and this is going to be a div class, so that is why we put the dot before the name of it. And then again, the brackets like we've already been using. You open bracket, copy and paste the code, close bracket. And a lot of this stuff is just basic styling. I would love if you guys would like to make a video where I go in and I explain what each single line of code is doing, but I'm not sure if that's super helpful or if that's redundant. A lot of it is self-explanatory, like obviously the height is how high or how tall the container is. So this is the container, And again, we are going to be doing the same thing with the background image that we did for the background of the entire website. And again, you can use hot linking, not hot linking, what we talked about, and I'm just going to copy the link that I used. Sorry. Alrighty, and so far, this is what your website should look like. Oh, I'm sorry, we haven't implemented the class. Okay, so I'm really quickly going to show you guys how to implement a div class. So we just wrote the main container, and now we obviously need to put it somewhere. So to do that, you would write div class equals, oh my gosh, sorry, I can't type. And then, oh my goodness, in quotations, you would write the name of the container. So in this case, it is main. So we do div class main, and then we do like this, like similar to the style. You open the brackets and then the closing brackets have that little slash there. So div class main. And so now hopefully the container shows up. Yes, as you can see. And then everything that is in the container is going to go in between div class main and div here. So literally all of our other codes are going to go there. And unless you want something outside of the container, you will keep everything right here within the divs, if that makes sense. So continuing on, I'm really quickly going to copy the fonts. I'll leave a link in the description to my resource card, as well as some other sites that I use if you do not want to use the same fonts as me. But again, this is something that's really easy. You just copy paste. Don't really need to do anything else. And so now we are going to make the section container. So that is, excuse me, this container right here with all of our actual info. And this is the container that will be changing as we move throughout our website. So again, I have provided that right here, the code for that. And similar to what we did with main, it is also going to be a div. So we are going to do .section. And yeah, so this is the animation that we have just implemented up here. So that will make it so that the sections animate when they go from section to section. And then obviously the border, I have left it color in case you don't want to go for the purple theme, but I will leave a link in the description as well to some resources if you're not familiar with like hex codes, color codes. It's basically 6 numbers with a hashtag before it, and that is basically, this is basically just a very dark shade of purple. So you could really just put any combination of numbers and letters and then see what color it gives you. Yeah, we have our font, which we implemented, the scroll code that lets the container scroll, just the very basic stuff, which again, I would be happy to make a video explaining more about the different styles and what they mean if that is something you're interested in. But right now I'm just focusing on the layout itself. Okay, and then next we're going to make the buttons, which these 3 buttons that allow you to switch from page to page. So we're gonna make the container that the buttons are in, and then, which is just a transparent container. I only put them in a container so that they could be positioned, you know, all in a line, and then the buttons themselves. So the button container is very easy, and one thing about neocities that I like as compared to Card Pro, while I do still have much love for Card, and like I said, I do hope to continue making card tutorials, is this will look the same on mobile as it does on your computer, and the positioning is pretty much set across all devices. Obviously, it will be smaller on your phone than it is on your computer, but things will not be positioned strangely, and on your friend's computer, it will most likely, it will not, you know, the doll image, for example, won't be halfway across the screen. It will all relatively be together. So that's some benefits of coding from scratch, is that your website is more likely to look cohesive across multiple devices as opposed to a drag and drop website builder like Card. Although I'm not trying to shade Card, I love Card. And obviously Card has helped me learn a lot of my foundation for HTML and CSS, which has been making the switch to neocities a lot easier. Okay, so we have our button container, which, like I said, is a div class, and now we are going to make something that is not a div class. So basically, instead of putting a dot before the name, you just put the name, and the brackets and everything are the same. And again, with the color code, I will put some resources in the description. I'm just going to copy and paste. This is the dark purple color. So now we are going to implement some HTML before we continue with our CSS. And I'm just really quickly going to look at my reference. Okay. So yes, okay. This right here is the welcome to profile image you see. And so within main, we are going to implement it. So to paste an image into like any container or just outside of any container, you are going to do img image as space src equals, and then in quotation marks, the image, and then you would end quotation and then put another bracket like that. But we of course want to style an image. So now I'm going to, I believe, put in the doll image, which will be in the description, as this is not, the majority of these can be found on this website if you're interested, but the doll image link I'll put in the description as this was found on another site. So right below that, we are just going to implement the doll image, and we want to position this so that it's next to the welcome to my profile image, so not just directly below it. So if you want to style an image and you are not doing it in CSS, you are doing it in the HTML portion of your code, you are going to type style equals and then your code. So here are the position settings that I have for my doll. So now this is what we have, our welcome to my profile image next to the doll image. And so now we are going to add really quickly just one more image, the little purple lover gif at the bottom. I believe that's what this image is. Hopefully I'm not mistaken, but again, you can just, basically you could just copy the line of code we just wrote, paste it right below, and then change the image link and change the positioning numbers and the width number, and you should end up with, you know, something like this, depending on what images you want to use and how you want to use them. So now we are going to implement the buttons, and I believe that this, because this is a little tricky since when you click on the buttons, obviously you want it to take you to a new page. So I believe that this is in the HTML. Oh, I didn't copy the end div. Okay, so copy this, paste it, and I'm quickly going to explain what we did. Just make sure that it is before this end div, or else it will be obviously outside of the container. So we have our div class, button container, and then button. So if it is not a div class, how you would do it is you would do something like button, hi, button. So instead of adding div class, you can just do it like that. That's useful for things like texts or buttons, smaller elements. I wouldn't recommend doing it with a container. This is good for an element that you are going to use multiple times, I guess, and one that relatively will look the same. So here we have the div class, the button container, and ignore all the on-click stuff. That is, again, just so that when you click on the little buttons that it will take you to the next page. And so the only things you're going to have to change is where it says button pixel image link here, put in your pixel, and I have included in the description this amazing website with literally every single pixel you could ever need ever. And I do hot link from this website, although maybe I should download them and upload them to my card, but again, I'm lazy, so you can either do the card method I explained earlier, or again, hot link, you copy the image address and then you just paste it into where I said button pixel image link here. So I believe I put my button pixels here. The Google Doc is a little out of order, and please ignore the notes I make. As I make this tutorial, I will probably need to do a lot of editing. So yes, so I have my 3 images, so we're just going to copy and paste those, and then obviously I have like I explained earlier, the style, the width, that is just to make the pixel take up the entire like space of the button, I guess. But if you are using a different image or smaller, bigger buttons, you can play around with that. It's really, what I provided for you is basically like a skeleton code, and you just need to mess around with things to fit the style that you are going for, the theme look that you're going for. And I'm not sure if I've said this, but if you do run into any trouble or need any help, or if I could provide anything else that would be useful, please let me know. On my socials, you can obviously leave a comment, and then all my socials will be in the description of this video as usual. So now that we have done that, this is hopefully what we should have, we have the buttons, we just have not included the section container, but since that is something that changes, it doesn't stay the same throughout the entire site, we are going to do that later. But yes, now we have the buttons and it will take you to the new page when you click on them. Okay, and so now this is very quick, very easy. This right here, these 2 tiny lines of code, we are just going to paste right here, and that's it. You don't need to do anything. You just need to make sure that it is after this and then before the next piece of code that we are going to add. This literally makes it so that your card can have multiple pages. Without this, it will not work. So you just need to copy paste. That's it. That's it. Now we're going to get into the pages themselves. I believe the only thing that I haven't gone over is the music player, but I think we are going to do that last. And then I know I did talk about some common codes like a cursor and the highlight, and I may do that in another video just because I can already tell this video is going to be super long, so I will leave all that in the description, and then if I do decide to include it, obviously I'll probably have a little some text over this part of the tutorial. Again, bear with me, I'm figuring things out. So yes, so now back to the pasty bin. We are going to take this right here. You're going to copy this under, make sure it is under what we just did. And so I don't know why it's, oh yes, we just don't have a, okay, ignore that. We just don't have an end script tag, but we are going to do that. Actually, you know what? I'm just going to copy all of this directly below that. And there you go. Now it's not giving you an error. So this is basically the JavaScript that allows the website to move from page to page, and instead of having to copy all of this stuff on the outside 3 times, you only have to do it once, and then only this middle part will change. So this is a super convenient way. I did make a little note in the pasty bin. There are other ways to do this that are more efficient, because if someone has JavaScript disabled on their website, or on their browser, your website won't show up. But I think it's like less than 1% of internet users have JavaScript disabled, and also the ways that don't use JavaScript are either less efficient or they are like super complicated, and even I don't understand how to do them. So for now, we're going to use this method, and it's super easy. You literally just copy and paste the JavaScript that is already provided to you. Okay, and now, so page 1, everything that you want in page 1 is going to go here. Page 2, everything that you want in page 2 is going to go here. And then same thing for page 3, obviously. So first we are going to start out with, obviously we want the section. I do like neocities because it tells you when there's an error, and it makes it very easy with the color coding. The only thing is this part, everything is the same color, so it's a little harder to tell when there is an error. But I'm just going to copy this. I already explained the div class and how that works. So now what we will have is containers, empty containers, but containers. And so now you're going to start with the page itself. So I'm gonna quickly explain how to do those things. And I haven't provided my code because it's all very simple HTML, and I want you guys to like hopefully learn a little bit instead of just, copying and pasting my code exactly. So what we are going to do now is add in this image right here. And of course, if you don't want an image, you can skip past this part, or, just only add what you want. I want this to be kind of a template. And like I said, you add what you need as we go. So we're going to skip down a little bit. The marquee we're going to skip because that is part of the music player. We're going to do that last, like I said. So the outer image, this is going to be another div class. So we're just going to copy this, and this is going to be the border around the image. Like you see this little purple border. And so I have left the purple border code in the div class, but if you are not going for a purple theme, I will leave a link in the description to Scripted Neocities, which is literally one of my favorite resources ever. This is where I got that code, and in the images section of that website, they have tons and tons of border codes and styles and whatnot for you to copy. So I would highly recommend that. And then obviously we want the image on the inside. So continuing on, that is this. So we're going to make another div class, .inner. And we're going to copy and paste, and then background image we are going to put there. And I believe that is just an image that I have on my card. So now you can see firsthand how you do it. Copy image address, and then this, this will hopefully be on my website forever because I will not be deleting the card since, you know, it's mine and I have control over it. So yeah, and then obviously to put it in your page, you want to again go in between the divs so that it is within the container of the section. So you would do div class equals, sorry, outer first, and then div class equals inner, and then end div, make sure to do it twice since you did add 2 div classes. And there we go. Next, I'm going to add some text. And since when we were making the section, we already added in the settings for the text, we don't need to do anything. We can literally just type the text. Sometimes this, you know, font family, color, font size could go in body, which is what I talked about earlier, and it will be the same across all of your website unless you specify earlier. It's just to make it more efficient so you don't have to keep copying and pasting and repeating code for every single place you put the text in, if that makes sense. So I am just going to copy the text I have. Obviously this will not be the same on your website. You will want to put your actual info, and again, make sure it is before the end div. So I did want to mention, you've probably seen this a bit, BR, like that is just a line break, so it will move on to the next line instead of continuing on this line. And BR is a double space, so an even bigger space before the next line. So when you see me doing that, that is what that means. And again, this website, I love this website. There is a section of this website, text generator. So you literally just pick a font style. So like I picked this one, and then you type in your name. I typed in my name, and then you click generate code, and then you copy the first one, the HTML. You literally just copy all of this and then paste it. And it looks really complicated and lengthy, but it will be your, it will be in your container, which is super, super cool. And as you can see, it's really big. And I believe what I did, since I have a longer name, I could have just done Lynn, but I didn't. Actually, you know what, for the tutorial, okay, so what I did in my original website was I just added width 25, and some letters for some reason were smaller than the others, so width 50, width 25, I just did that. But for the sake of the tutorial, that's what you would do if you have a longer name or want to include a bigger word. Like I said, next to border equals 0, which is already there, you would just specify the width of the letters, but that's a bit tedious and not necessarily necessary, so I'm actually just going to I'm just going to do a smaller name, and it won't look the same as my original, but I can already tell this is going to be lengthy. Hopefully I'm making sense. Okay. Oh, not after the div. Okay. So there we go. And now it's not as chunky looking either. So there we go. Okay. Next, we are going to make this little text here, which could be known as a highlight, a mark. I believe we have it called mark, which in HTML is a term for like a highlight, I guess. That's what I call it. Maybe it is known as mark, but I call it highlight. So it's going to be the same thing as a button. It's not a div class. So we're just going to type mark, and then we're going to paste this code. And then you can change the colors of the gradient, and again, change the font size, whatever the font itself, it's up to your discretion. You can leave it the same as I have it, but again, feel free to be creative, you know, do what you want. I'm going to just copy this, but I will explain. So you do this, like you can like break, you could put it all over the place and it won't actually impact the site itself if you want to make it easier to read, but you can also have it all clumped together, whatever, it's personal preference. So after the image, I have a line break, obviously, because I don't want this text next to the image. And then I just type the text, and then similar to the button, this is the style of how to use the mark. So you mark, and then whatever text you want to be in the style of the mark, you put within the 2 marks. And so now it will look like this. Okay. And now we are going to be including this image, which is also from the Glitter graphics site, and we're going to be doing this in the same way I've already expressed, that you can include an image. And I believe this image wasn't too big or too small, so I didn't add any styling. I just have the image itself, so I'm going to copy that, and then again, I put a little line break before it. and a line break after it. And the last thing is I have more text, so I'm just going to copy it to save time. And there we go. That is the first page of the website done. Now we're going to move on to the next page. So the next page, again, I have a graphic I found on the Glitter Graphics site. I'm doing the IMG SRC, which I explained earlier, and then I have style width, so I'm doing that. And again, you can use the code already provided as kind of a template and just change around the numbers, but if you don't want it, you don't have to keep typing it over and over again. But since I have already done this, I am just copying and pasting. And if you need help or want me to provide more examples that you can, directly copy paste, please just let me know. I am providing what I think would be useful, but again, it's personal preference. Not everybody is the same. So again, please make sure that it is within the div class section and before the end div. So that is our image. And then we have some links. So if you want to include a link or a social, it's a little, I wouldn't say complicated, just a little, I don't know how to explain, but I put it in the pasty bin so that you can copy it, because I guess it would just be a bit tedious to have to type out is the words that I was looking for. So I have my texts. So, oh wait, I need to put a BR so that it moves on to the next line. So I have subscribe to me on, and then you do this thing, a herif, and then you would put your link here. And so I would put, for example, I would put my YouTube channel link, which is right here, but obviously you would want to include your own social media or whatever. So you put it there, you just put it how a normal copy and paste link you would. And then this, which I've included, you can delete this, but basically what it means is when someone clicks on the link, it will open in a new tab instead of loading on your site, so they can still have your site and the page open, if that makes sense. And then since we want the text to be in a mark, we include the mark as we did earlier, just like that. And then we end the link with the /a. And again, this is in the pasty bin, completely available to you. So you literally can just copy this, change the text here, add your link, and then change YouTube to like Instagram, for example. And if you don't want it in the mark style, you would just delete mark and end mark, and it will show up as the black text, if that makes sense. And so that's pretty much what I did for this entire page. I just have this over and over again. And so I've already explained it once, so I'm just going to save time, I'm just going to copy and paste it. And then as you see, I have another BR, and then I have an image, which I believe I copied from here, my card. And here I have style width. So I will type this out if that is easier to follow, in case you're getting tired of seeing me copy and paste things. So like if I want to include an image like this, and then width equals, I believe I said 310 px, so like that, and then an image. And yeah, it gets easier as you do it more and more. It really just takes practice. So, oh my goodness, I completely forgot. This is a good reminder. So the little outline under the links, you can obviously leave that if that is something you like the look of, but that is just the default for neocities. And if you want to change that, that is something I have included in the common codes. So I think I have decided I'm going to make a separate video explaining how to like style your neocities. So if that is something you are interested in, check that out. It will be in the description. And then, so at the very bottom, we have links. So this basically makes it text decoration none. You can change that. There are different styles you can do that, but text decoration none just basically means no underline. Other styles you can do, you can make it like a wavy underline, a dotted underline, but if you want no underline, that is obviously what you would put. And the little thing, you could put this anywhere in your, between style and style. So like, I'm just gonna put it there, and it will have changed it. I believe it should have changed it. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I just copied and pasted it into, this is the card I made before, which already has it. I'm so sorry. Okay, so yeah, we're just gonna put it there, and then it will have changed it. So and the color black is, since this is already within a mark that has a color assigned to it, it doesn't apply, but usually a link will change the color to blue. So if it was like in this, for example, it would have made it blue, but since we've already made it a mark, it's purple because I assigned it the color purple. Hopefully I'm wording that correctly, but it's good to just have it assigned to black anyway, just in case. So yeah, that is it for the second page, and now on to the final page. We are going to be using some codes from this resource, which will be in the description. I absolutely adore this resource so much. I think this person is amazing, super helpful. I would highly recommend checking it out. I use a lot of the codes in my sites, so please check it out, support, send some love. The first thing we are going to be doing is using the image mask code. So it's literally all right there for you to copy and paste, which is so amazing, and even has some notes if you're confused. So we're going to copy first the CSS, and we're just going to paste it like after text, for example. And then there are a few things I changed, which I will go over very quickly. Obviously, so basically it's text that's background instead of a color. The background is an image, which I think just makes things look a bit more fun and complex, and like there's more going on. Again, up to you if you want to include this, but like I've explained many times, you just use the same background, copy image address method, paste it there. And then the only other thing is I have added a font. This is assigned no font, so it will be like the default font, but if you want it to be fun font, just go up here, and this is the font I use. You copy font family. Again, feel free to use your own font, and you can just paste it literally anywhere. And now it has, within the brackets obviously, and now it has that font. And then the HTML, when you want to include it in your neocities, it has already been provided for you, so just copy that, and then we would paste it in page 3, which is where we want it. Again, in between the divs. I cannot stress that enough. I feel like repetition is key. So again, it doesn't matter how spaced out or whatever it is, as long as it's in between the divs. And I believe I set it to music by heart, but you can obviously make it say anything you want. Doesn't have to be what I do. And there we go. And then I just added text, so that is super awesome. I'm just going to copy the text. You don't have to see me type it out a million times. And since this is a div class, just make sure that you're not putting the text in the div unless you also want it to be big and have the image mask. So now I'm just doing an image which has some styling, the width, to make it span across the entire container. So again, I found this from the glitter graphics, no surprise. So we're going to do line break, image with the styling so that it spans across the entire container, and then line break again. And I believe I included a double space because what we are going to do next is, as you saw, this little glow box, which is also from this super awesome resource, and it kind of bled into the image, so that's why I did a double space, but it's just a styling thing. It's up to you, not necessary. So here we have this. We're going to copy again the CSS. It makes it super, super simple for you. Okay, so you copy and paste that in, and we're just going to delete this, not necessary as to what we are trying to do. And again, I will go in and see what I changed. I just didn't want to re-upload the codes onto my pasty bin because they aren't my codes. I got them from a resource, so I would rather you get them from the resource itself and support the person. Anyways, so we have changed the width. We want it to, I think 100% made it kind of go off the container. So you want to still be able to see the white of the container on the side. So I just changed it to 95. And since we are not making it, or at least this is up to you. The text in this little glow box will scroll, but I didn't really want that. So I just made it auto. So it will only be as high as the text is. And then I deleted overflow auto. And then this is super important. This is the color I use, the color from the original code. It just says pink. Another thing, I guess I didn't mention this, if you don't have a specific color code, you can just say a color. Pink, black, white, you've seen a lot of that, green, purple. The only thing with colors like blue, red, it will just be a certain shade. And so like, for example, this may not be the shade of pink you're looking for, so that's just when you would need to get a color code yourself. Again, I'm going to look for some resources after I'm done recording this and include those in the description if you are not familiar with the concept. So I have my color code ready to paste, and you're literally going to paste it everywhere where it says pink. So it's a bit tedious, you have to do it many times, but it is important that it's all the same color. I actually haven't tried it with different colors, but I think it just wouldn't look the same. The idea is that the box has the appearance that it's glowing, so if you want that effect, I would make them all the same color, and you just, anywhere where it says pink, copy and paste it, and there you have it. Again, we are going to do the CSS, or sorry, not CSS. The HTML is provided for you, but I'm actually not going to copy that because it's a lot of text. So we're just gonna, we can literally just go, and after our BR, we can do div class glow. So I didn't realize, I forgot I put the mark, so copy that, and then and div, and then I believe I put an extra space at the bottom just because the glow was like bleeding out of the container. So again, not necessary, just a stylized preference, for lack of a better way to put it. And then I believe we should have, our last page. So again, like up to personal discretion, you can always make it bigger, smaller, whatever you are feeling for your site. Again, it is your site. And now last thing is the music player and the marquee. It's so exciting. Okay, so we're gonna go back. We're first gonna do the marquee. I believe that is easiest. In my CSS pasty bin, I have the positioning of the marquee container, which, similar to the buttons, is just a transparent container that the marquee is inside so that the marquee is positioned where it needs to go. And I've already included the settings. You are welcome to change that based on what you decide to do with the card. But if you are, oh my gosh, card, neocities. But if you are following my format exactly, this is what the settings would be. So again, it's a div class, so we're gonna put the dot, and then again, you can literally name it whatever, but I'm just naming it marquee container, and then open bracket, paste, close bracket, and then we have my marquee text. This was, I literally just copied and pasted the exact code that I use. I didn't add in any like image link here or something like that, or the color is the color that I used, so I just got lazy. So literally just copy and paste this. And then I believe I put it, yeah, I put the music player and everything after the JavaScript, so that's what I would recommend doing. Just if you put it before the JavaScript, the positioning will be off, which it isn't the end of the world. You would just need to change the positioning. But if you want to do less coding, paste it after script. Okay, it was giving me an error. It was just I had one too many divs in the pasty bin, but I have quickly changed that. And yeah, you just paste it as so, and you can obviously change the color of the outline, the font, the sizing, and then obviously right here is where your actual text would be. So these are just lyrics to the song I included in the music player, and then this is what you will have. And we are going to include the music player right now. Again, the music player code is not mine, so I didn't want to re-upload it to my pasty bin, so a link in the description will be there for the original music player. I used the original code, and again, completely fine to use a different music player code or not include a music player. I just want to emphasize, please do what you want. This is just the exact website I made, but change things as needed. So I have the original music player code here, and I'm going to edit it with you guys. So I'm going to change the things that I changed with you so that you can kind of follow along and it's easier to understand. So before marquee container and after the end script tag, and as you can see, it's giving us some errors, so we are going to edit a few things. This, I believe this was meant to be in a card, so that's why we have to edit it a bit, but it works in a neocities all the same. It just gets a bit mad. So everything before title, music player, all of this stuff, this is already at the top of our neocities code, so it's redundant to put it again. That's why it's getting mad at us. So literally just delete it. And similarly, everything after end script, which is right here, so body HTML, delete that because we already have those in our neocities, and to put them again is redundant. The compiler, whatever's running our code, gets confused. And one more thing, we're going to delete after /style head and body. Since we just deleted the top head and the end body, we need to delete the ones in the middle, so like so. And now for just some styling things. So the little pixel that in case you forgot what the music player looked like, this is the music player, the little spinning music player. So the image in the middle, again, I literally just copied and pasted the image address from one of these pixels that I found. So we are going to put that right here where it says image src, paste. And then, like I said, I will have a video that talks about how a music player works. I've been meaning to make a video about that for a while because I use music players all the time in card. And when I'm making cardboard tutorials, I'm not sure if I'm explaining it well, so I will be making a video. It will actually probably be in the context of a card, but it works the same for neocities. So that's my song link. We're just gonna copy and paste it. And I don't know why it's not getting mad at this Dropbox link, but for some reason when I put my Dropbox link, it gets really mad, and I haven't been able to get rid of this error. So if anyone knows, please let me know. The site still works perfectly. The song plays all the way through, no issues. I did a little bit of research, and I think neocities just doesn't like when you upload Dropbox links like this, like in the HTML rather than in the CSS, because in a way, I think it takes up more storage of your site, which isn't a big deal if you're making a site that's as simple as this. And I don't really plan to. neocities for free provides you so much storage, and if you use all of it, you have to pay to get more storage. But I already have 3 like pretty decently big websites in my opinion, and I'm not even using 0.1% of my storage. So I don't really think this error is something to be super mindful of unless you are making, really big websites, because it could make it run slower if you're storing like Dropbox links. But this is also just a 3-minute song, 3-minute audio file, so not the end of the world. If you get that error, I would ignore it. I think it works properly. I haven't had any problems, but if, again, it is a bigger deal than I'm making it, please let me know. I'm not super familiar with why the error comes up. Anyways, next we are going to, last thing we're going to do is the, not last thing, well, I guess last thing is some styling, so the positioning of the music player, as well as, since it's not in a container, it's just the music player itself, we have to edit the positioning so it can be next to the marquee text, the moving text, and then also the color. So this is the color of my border, the dotted border, and then like I said, this is a color code. But if you want the background to be like, black or white, or just like you like the shade of pink, that is the default shade of pink, you can literally just type the name of the color. So I have white. And then the positioning settings. So again, this depends on the music player you're using, your card, but I guess these are the ones that work. So we're going to change it to 0.375. And then it is -0.125, and I think the z-index, I made the z-index absurdly high. Okay, so z-index, I'll quickly kind of explain what that is. I think that's how many 9s. It's basically just what elements are on top of each other. So the music player has a higher z-index than the marquee, so that the marquee looks like it's going into the music player. For example, like the button container has a higher z-index than the doll because the doll is behind, looks like it's behind the buttons. Another thing you can do if you don't want to have to deal with z-index, because sometimes it doesn't always work, if an element was made like in your code, if you're implementing an element like in HTML, if you're implementing it before another element, by default it is going to be, the element that you included first will be on top of the element that you were including afterwards. I actually could be lying, and it could be the other way around, but sometimes basically to sum it up, sometimes order of elements matters for layering. If you want elements on top of each other, this is obviously avoidable if you space elements out more. But I think the easiest way, and the way I learned to do it, was with card and everything, was with z-index. So that is just what we added there, and I believe that is everything. Since this has CSS and HTML, you literally just need to copy and paste and change the things that I just changed, and then it should be working. There you go. And I'm not going to play the song because I don't think I can play the song, but ideally the song will play once you click on the spinning image. So yeah, I believe that is pretty much everything, which is kind of crazy. To sum up really quickly before you see my awesome new outro that I will have made, probably not super awesome, but if you have any trouble, any constructive criticism for what I can do better, just the only thing I ask is that you be nice. Don't be mean. please let me know. Again, socials linked in the description, all the resources I use linked in the description. Leave a comment, let me know what else you would like to see. I would be happy to make more layouts on neocities, or just more videos explaining the basics of HTML. Like I said, I will hopefully have 2 videos linked in the description, one with going over how to upload a song to a music player if you are not familiar with that, and then another one going over just how to make a neocities account, the basics around that, as well as some of the basic codes that I added in here, which include like the cursor, the selection, and like the disabling the copy and paste. So I will go over that in the next video. I just don't want this video to be extremely long, and I did all the basics. So yeah, I have a lot of editing to do. I've been talking for so long, but I really enjoy this. I really love helping people. I hope that I am helping people. This has been super fun. So yeah, that's pretty much it, and hopefully I will see you all in the next one. Again, this is the final product. It may look a little different depending on how you decide to go with it, but yeah, that's it. Bye bye.